You know what I wasn't ready for, Keefe?
What's that?
Any of that last night.
That was a mess.
Sir,
Ma'am. Holy mackerel.
Personally did not see any of that coming.
You had upset alert. You were saying Pats were going to win. You were even looking ahead to the rest of the schedule. You looked past the Jets.
I was picking out win. I was like, Niners are in play.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, Dolphins without Tua, foregone conclusion.
Listen, we're all wrong at times. Woo. Nothing is in play. This team, here's what it is. Last night was exactly what we feared going into the season and what a lot of us kind of thought the season might look like. And I think it was fool's gold, the Cincinnati game. You saw more signs of it, but at least they were able to move the ball and make a few stops in the Seattle game. But then last night, that just sort of exposed everything. You know, the offensive line is now down to second and third stringers. When the starters suck, the second stringers are worse. Yep. The third stringers just do that, whatever that is. That's a mess. But they couldn't move the ball at all. Defensively, they couldn't get off the field now for the second straight week. Right? They've made two quarterbacks back-to-back weeks look amazing. Mm-hmm. And I know Aaron Rodgers for his career is amazing, but he wasn't amazing the first 2 weeks, but he looked great last night. Geno Smith looked great in week 2. And so it was a non-competitive game where, man, like the entertainment value, zero for the Patriots. And that is rough. That was a rough go last night. Primetime, whole league is watching, and good gravy. That's what you come up with?
I mean, you say that's what you came up with. Like, the coaching staff has a lot of blame to go around today.
DeMarcus Covington joining us later.
We will talk to DeMarcus Covington, Patriots defensive coordinator, where, I don't know what that was last night from him or the offensive coaching staff or the head coach or the players or the roster assembled by Elliott Wolf. But you said it, Keefe. Week 1 was fool's gold.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we thought the Patriots were going to be. Well, actually, I thought they'd go over 4.5 wins. It's worse than I thought they would be.
I thought 3. I bumped it up to 4 after the Cincy game, so shame on me.
That's worse than I thought they were capable of. I personally didn't see it coming, and even if you did, even if you thought they were going to lose, did anyone think it was going to be that bad and that ugly? And we now have our answer about week 1. Was week 1 more about what the Patriots did or about the Bengals boycotting and overlooking the Pats? It was more about Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati
clearly
has oh my God, yeah. Well, and they also have a track record under Zachary Taylor of
starting
really slow starts. Week 1, horrible week 1s, bad Septembers. Plus, you throw in no T. Higgins and some of the other contract issues. Jamar Chase didn't want to be there, so you kind of toss that one to the side. And then Seattle, it was a very competitive game. I'm not going to retroactively take that away and say it wasn't competitive. It went to overtime, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
But still, there was a lot of issues there. We thought the defense was better after week 1, and Geno Smith throws for 327 yards. They couldn't get off the field. They gave up a huge play to DK Metcalf. They gave up a bunch of small first down plays to Smith and Jigba. They didn't even have to go up against the Seahawks' best running back, and still they didn't look great. And they couldn't get stops when they needed to, right? End of regulation and in overtime. But then you go to last night, and it's just the worst of everything. There's no real bright spots from it. The offense was bad across the board. The defense was bad across the board. And, strange when a 21-point loss is didn't really, the scoreboard didn't really tell you the tale.
24-3 doesn't even come close to telling you how much of a blowout and a beatdown that was. Not even close.
No.
So, silver lining, bright spot. Maybe you're getting Drake Maye. No. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so there is that. So Drake Maye makes his debut.
Maybe you're getting Drake Maye. And I want to get into that as we go along here on Jones and Keefe on WEEI. It's Patriots Friday. You know the number. A lot of you already lining up. 617-779-7937. Lines are open. Get in there. We'll talk about this all day long here on Jones and Keefe. You can text the show 37937. You can interact on Twitter and Instagram at Jones and Keefe. You can watch on Twitch, twitch.tv/BostonWEEI. Or on YouTube, just subscribe to WEEI. So, Keefe, I'm ready to bend the knee. I thought there were wins on the schedule. I thought the schedule, just as of yesterday, didn't look so bad. You couldn't have played worse than last night.
It's just funny because on Tier Tuesday, we put them in the tier of could be worse.
And I'm not.
It turns out it can be worse, and it is worse.
They need to move to number 2 pick watch. As someone tweeted at you last night,
correct.
At
Keep
21, we need to move this team to number 2 pick watch because they're in the mix for not Carolina bad, but pretty damn close. I don't even know where to start with last night.
All right, let's start with this.
They can't protect Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Jacoby Brissett stinks. The defense, I've never been less confident in a defense getting a stop on third down. They made Aaron Rodgers look like vintage MVP Aaron Rodgers. So I really don't know where to start. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with this because Drake Maye came in at the end of the game. So let's work our way towards Drake Maye. Let's start with the beginning of the game where we were wondering if Pop Douglas, Pop on the tape Douglas, who says he's been open,
popping off in the locker room.
Pop off Douglas, he of the 0 career touchdown catches. And I'm very pro receiver. It pains me to say this, but he was sounding like a guy who was like Terrell Owens or Randy Moss or one of these guys. He's not. And he wanted the ball. And you and I both said yesterday, so this isn't revisionist history because yesterday on the show we were saying there is a fine line. They shouldn't turn over. They're not a pass team, but it doesn't mean you avoid your wide receivers. You can't have 3 wide receiver catches in a game like you did against Seattle.
Correct.
So that number needs to go higher, but you also can't overnight turn it into something that you're not and complete 25 catches to receivers. That's not going to happen either. And so this is a team who needs to run the ball. The Jets are a team that was giving up yards on the ground going into last night. So they should have ran way more than they did. Next thing you know, they're behind. So they start passing. That's what I was going to say. They start passing. They start trying to get Pop Douglas the ball.
Yeah, so literally,
I didn't see that coming.
Literally, the first play was play action.
Yep.
And,
for 0 yards.
Brissett had to just huck the ball away.
Gets it to his guy, Hunter Henry, for 0 yards.
And I believe 7 of the first 9 plays were passes. I meant to double check that. I think it's 7 out of the first 9 were passes.
The very first series was what? It was pass to Henry for 0, 1 run, 1 yard for Stevenson, and then a deep incomplete pass, then punt. And so there was a lot of that. There's a lot of punting. Bryce Behringer, a lot of action for him.
Good game for him.
Yep.
Bryce punt.
So you do have that. But no, I thought, were they really going to, go to Pop Douglas? And turns out they were. And, that was not the right way to do it. So Pop Douglas ended the night with 9 targets and a carry.
Mm-hmm.
So, he ended up with 7 catches for 69 yards, 1 carry for 9 yards. If Pop Douglas is the offense, though, you're screwed.
Yeah, I think we saw that last night.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson. Now, I know there's issues with Ramondre Stevenson. He fumbled. He's fumbled in every game, but he finally lost a fumble last night. He also set himself back on his one big run. He had the face mask where he, ripped the helmet off. But still, 6 carries? What the hell is that? He goes from, 25 carries one week to 6?
So I thought Mike Giardi had a good tweet on this after the game. He says, I have a lot of questions tonight. The offensive approach seemed designated to satiate the grumbling pass catchers, which is what you were saying. Different wording.
I don't know any of those words. But I think we said the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. You want to keep the receivers happy.
Got it.
Satiate the grumbling pass catchers, despite the fact that the Jets have been porous against the run for the last couple of years.
Yes.
Then when the game script flipped, the Patriots couldn't do what they do best. Right, when you're down 2 scores, you can't run the way you want to run.
But even being down 2 scores, as bad as the first half was, right? So you're sitting there at halftime, you're like, what the hell was that? It was 14-3, and you were getting the ball.
Yeah, I kind of...
you can still run.
It's crazy in retrospect. It's crazy I thought they could win the game. It's crazy I thought they were going to be better than I thought. Yeah. But at halftime, another crazy thing, I kind of still thought they were in the game.
It's 14-3. The Jets missed the field goal, and so even though you've been absolutely dominated at that point, it's 11 points. So... that doesn't mean you need to just air it out when you get the ball. You could still run, but at that point, it was, that ship had sailed, I guess, for them.
No, it had. And so the game plan was terrible last night. They couldn't tackle. I think the final number was 13 missed tackles for 100 extra yards for the Jets last night.
I also don't really understand that part of it.
The stat?
No, the
lack of tackling.
They tackled the snot out of it against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And then they were a little bit worse, right? There was a couple more broken tackles against Seattle. But then last night, a ton of missed tackles. It's the same team. It's the same month of the season. How else? Now, I know there's no Bentley, right? So there is some players that didn't get as many reps in week 1 as you do in week 3, but as a team, I thought they'd be much better tackling than they were.
Yeah, the lasting image from last night is Alex Austin, who replaced crappy Marco Wilson, but now you get crappy Alex Austin, is holding on to Alan Lazard's ripped jersey, stretched all the way to the end zone, breaking away on a missed tackle.
Yeah.
So that's the lasting image. The numbers last night are beyond ugly. At halftime, the Patriots have been outgained 252-40.
They couldn't get off the field, right? Like
the defense.
The defense could not get off the field.
The offense excelled at getting off the field. The defense couldn't get off the field.
Oh, Jones, offense had no problem getting off the field.
No,
they were off the field, no problem. You want a punt? I'll give you a punt.
They were among the best at it.
Yeah, the Patriots had 4 possessions in the first half, and one of them was end of half. Almost doesn't really count. So even some of the yards they got were garbage yards. They gave them that last catch going into the half. Like, go ahead, take it.
Not great, Bob.
Nope. So they went punt, field goal. That's all they had. They only had 3 possessions because after the Jets punted on their first possession, they had a 8-play touchdown drive of 4-13. But then this is the killer. They had a 13-play, 7-minute and 47-second drive. And then they had a 12-play drive that actually ended in a missed field goal.
Yeah.
So they were very fortunate that it wasn't, at minimum 17-3.
No, time of possession was over 40 minutes for the Jets last night.
Lopsided.
First downs again at halftime were 17-4. Like, it's as bad as it could. You would never know it if you just woke up and looked at the score.
Yeah.
It was as lopsided
I'm also
of a game.
surprised they had 4 first downs.
No, it's true.
That does seem a little much.
We were talking about it before the show. I think some of them were by penalty. I think it was like pass interferences on Tyquan Thornton, which were questionable. And so it was as lopsided of a game as you're going to get. And the bottom line is Mayo didn't have them ready to go. Like, we can put it on Covington and his game plan or Alex Van Pelt and his game plan. You're the head coach.
Yeah.
The team
Short week.
The team wasn't ready to go. Not at all. The Jets were ready to go. Aaron Rodgers was ready to go.
How about my guy Rodgers?
He was great.
Dude could spin it still.
Keith, another thing I was wrong about.
He could spin it.
He was moving well.
He did. He scooted nicely.
I didn't see that coming at all. He looked like a 25-year-old moving around on the field.
He looked really comfortable, though, which is a Patriots issue.
Mayo didn't have them ready to go. Like, Brissett sucks. The defense sucks. The offensive line sucks. Elliott Wolf sucks at building a team. The defensive game plan sucked. They can't tackle. The offensive game plan sucked. They threw too much. All of it sucked. Mayo didn't have him ready to go.
No, he did not. I mean, everything that I guess could have gone wrong in a way did. Like, it was a mess. It was embarrassing. It was against a division opponent in what, I don't know, you and I felt like it was a winnable game. You gave him the win. I thought it was going to be close. Like, just going into it, both teams were 1-1. The Jets, I liked much more long-term in this season. But if you looked at what they did the first 2 weeks, they weren't all that intimidating a presence. Rodgers hadn't gone over 200 yards passing. You could run on them, or so we thought, and they didn't go to any of that. Yeah, it's amazing when you just look at all the possessions for the Patriots in the game.
I'd rather not.
Punt, field goal, end of half. Yeah. Punt, fumble, punt, end of game. That's it. That was
like an Iowa's box score.
Yeah, no, it is. Iowa Hawkeyes.
It is.
No, but the difference is Iowa's not giving up 24.
Right.
It's a 9-3. Like, who's gonna
Iowa play defense?
Yeah. So they 24-3. 24. It's almost as though you were playing a team that didn't want to rub it in. Because it's like they could do whatever they wanted, and yet they still only got to 24. But the game was never in doubt. Like, the game, once they took control of the game, once we saw the Patriots have a couple of possessions, you're like, oh, they're not going anywhere.
No, they are not. So you can jump in on this, 617-779-7937. Patriots Friday here on Jones and Keefe. We are going to talk to DeMarcus Covington. He, the defensive coordinator for the unit that couldn't tackle last night. We're going to talk to Mike Onwenu. He of the offensive line that couldn't block last night.
It's going to be a tough go.
So that should be a good one throughout
just
the course of the day.
Just 1 of 17, Jones. Just 1 of 17. You can bounce back
that's
week
true.
from Sunday.
We're going to talk to
the Niners.
Lou Merloni as well at noon. So stay tuned for all of that. You can listen live on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Get it on your phone, free, easy. Take it with you wherever you go. We're over 17 minutes into the show, Keith.
Yes, we are.
Have not fully gotten into Drake Maye. I said earlier in the show, you want a silver lining, you want a potential bright spot, it's time to go to Drake Maye.
Really?
It's 10 days.
Really?
I know it's the Niners. It's time. Part of the reason the team looked so bad last night is they knew they had no chance once the Jets were rolled. They couldn't keep up. There was no answer. Offensively, you weren't going to get first downs. You weren't going to make plays. You were just going to beat Jacoby Brissett into a pulp. We'll play Mayo here in a moment. I want your thoughts first, but Mayo made it pretty clear to me.
Yep.
The door is open. He's going to speak at 11 o'clock. I think we'll go to the podium live to hear from him, just in case there's any updates there. He made it pretty clear the door is open. Brissett didn't sound thrilled after the game. Maye made it clear he's ready if the Patriots are going to make the switch. Now's the time. We were all thinking week 5 or week 6 at home.
Yeah.
You have 10 days to get Drake Maye in there, and I think that's the one big thing that we're going to be debating, discussing. We have already been discussing.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to be doing that all week going into the Niners, and I think the right move is to do it now.
You think play Drake Maye?
Yeah.
What if he gets tackled?
He did.
Jones, what if he gets hit?
He did last night.
What if he goes on the football field and gets bumped by somebody?
Yeah, well, it would be the first time in the history of the sport.
No, it's insane. Like, I hate this, and we'll get into it as the show goes on, but there's a lot of people that are, and maybe some of you, and that's fine. Like, and we can talk it out, and you guys can call in, but oh my God, he's going to get killed, you can't play him. It's football. It's football. Guys get hit. They can't get Joe Theismann anymore. You can't grab a quarterback's head, twist it around, and have it not be a penalty. You can't dive into their knees. Guys get hit. Everyone's going to show the one replay from last night where a guy was on his legs, he eluded him, and then he got speared or rock bottomed or whatever. Guess what? He hopped back up. He kept going. He had the one semi-functional drive they had all night. So of course I want to play Drake Maye. I think it's comical that people don't. I think it's comical that people are like, oh my God, if he gets hit, he'll never be a good quarterback ever. It'll break him. He can't physically, mentally, and emotionally, he won't be able to take it. Well, then all right, then maybe he's just not that good.
Yeah.
I say play him. The rest of the guys on the team, as untalented as many of them are, still deserve to have the best chance to win. You're 1-2, right? You put him out there early. You don't need to drag this out any longer. You and I both wanted him out there week 1. For whoever, Elliott Wolf or Alex Van Pelt made the decision to go with Brissett, so fine. You have Brissett for 3 games, not even all of 3 games, right? Drake Maye comes in, makes his debut week 3. Josh Allen made his debut week 1, his first start week 2. Justin Herbert made his first start week 2, and those guys never look back. And so I would absolutely go with Drake Maye. And I also don't think the Niners are this, 85 Bears, 2,000 Ravens.
They just lost to Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So, it's not like it. Before the season began, that looked a little bit more daunting than it is. It's also the mini bye week, if you will, so it's the perfect time to go from 30% of reps to 100% of reps, couple extra practices. I think it's a no-brainer he should start week 4.
Now is the time. Not everyone agrees it's a no-brainer.
No.
But we agree here on Jones and Keefe. I mentioned Drake Maye asked about it after the game last night. Here's what he had to say about the looming quarterback decision.
You said you were going to evaluate film based on quarterback performance. Is there a possibility you consider a change?
I don't know. Look, we talk about every single week. You're competing for a job, so we'll get together as a coaching staff and see where it goes.
Okay,
every week competing for a job. Although he also said, if all goes well, he'll be the quarterback all season. I guess maybe the out there would be you're competing every week for it and you keep it every week. But yeah, that's for sure opening the door and then some.
Thank you. Mayo's all over the map, but the door was open last night, so
it's a jar.
We'll see if it's still a jar.
Yep.
At 11. If it is, that's telling to me. If he says, no, we're going with Jacoby, well, then we'll call off the dogs. But I would make the switch. But there's a lot of people out there that disagree, Keefe. I'm reading through some of the tweets last night. Greg Bedard.
Yeah.
Don't even think about
what?
Starting Drake Maye.
Sorry, I've thought about it. I've thought about it quite a bit.
It's
all I think about.
Minority Report, intellectual property.
He knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Don't even let it go through your mind, says Greg Bedard.
Now that's all I can think about. Why don't you tell me not to do something? I'm going to have a hard time not doing that.
The thought police are after you.
I need to see this guy start.
Mark Daniels, no way.
No way.
The Patriots should remotely consider starting Drake Maye.
I would more than remotely. I would go right on down there and do it.
Drive into work. Not doing that over Zoom. Warren Sharp last night. Interesting, Drake Maye got his first reps without being prepped for this defense and playing behind a makeshift offensive line. Incredibly stupid, he said. Dumb move by Mayo just to get him into the game last night.
So at least that's consistent, right? Like, if you don't want to see him at all, you should be mad that he played last night, right? Like, if you're so afraid, like, he goes onto the field, like, there's a chance he might get hit by another guy. Yeah. Like, another person might hit him.
Yeah. And they did, and he's fine.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Wait till the X-rays come back. we gotta see how that goes. No, I think if you are and you just mentioned Bedard and Daniels, or just two, and they're not alone. There are many others. If that's the case, in all seriousness, maybe just call off the season. Mm-hmm. Like, for real. Like, call the league and be like, listen, we don't have it. You can give forfeit wins to everybody else, but we got to protect these guys.
There's 31 other teams. I think you have enough.
You got plenty of games.
Yeah.
We're not on primetime anymore, so you're not going to miss any of those. And just give them a win. We're thinking health of the league. We're thinking health of the guy. We just need to get together, find some better linemen for next year, and then maybe Drake Maye can take the field.
Then we'll be ready to compete.
But we're going to take the forfeits the rest of the way.
So what do? You sticking with Jacoby, or is it time to go to Drake Maye with 10 games going into, admittedly, a tough matchup on the road against the San Francisco 49ers? Have you ever seen the Patriots worse? I'm not sure I have. Oof. Not in quite some time. That was awful last night.
There was some bad Mac Jones. When there was that back-to-back week when
I think this might have been worse than I can't believe I'm saying it. I think this might have been worse than some of the Mac Jones games.
Saints Cowboys back-to-back.
So this was as bad of a blowout, and at least in those games, I feel like they could move the football a little bit. Mac Jones had worse individual plays. This was This wasn't competitive. This was not competitive last night.
No, it was not.
So again, all your thoughts on it. What went wrong? Who do you blame? We'll talk to DeMarcus Covington. Great defensive performance last night. We'll talk to Mike Onwenu.
Yeah.
Great job by the offensive line. That's all on a Patriots Friday on Jones and Keefe. Billy Lanny with all the latest here in trending. And when we come back, let's get further into the Drake Maye plan. Should Drake Maye start week 4? That's next.